We're going to talk a little bit about various pieces of equipment that you use or that employees use on a day-to-day basis. I'm assuming this is the drinking water folks that I got some pictures for, and the handheld augers when they're doing
environmental health auger.
When they're doing soil sampling. So one of the things that I worked with years ago with VDH was I know some of the locations have those soil augers that have long handles and some that have shorter handles. And we were having some shoulder strains and back strains because the auger kind of didn't fit the employee. We had taller individuals using shorter handled augers and shorter statured people using longer handled augers. So I don't know if the equipment is assigned to employees or if it's just kind of first come, first serve, if you just kind of pick one and use one. I think that's what you need to think about is if you're shorter in stature and there are shorter handled augers out there, that might be better suited for you. If you're taller in stature and there's taller handled augers, those are things that you want to take into consideration as you go through the equipment that you're using. What other types of equipment do you use on a day-to-day basis that you may have to haul in and out of vehicles? What about personal protective equipment? What type of PPE are you issued or authorized to use?
Yes, this is drinking water and Culpeper. Yeah, the pictures there would not be for equipment that the Office of Drinking Water uses. That would be for the environmental health specialists in the local health departments. We use PPE, basically just hard hats, gloves, goggles, nothing more extensive than that.
Out shoes. What types of shoes are you wearing out in the field?
Shoes and clothing would not be, state issues. Those would be personal items, and we have no official policy on that.
Well, let's talk about that for just a little bit. So there is no guidance document or guidance related to the type of work that you're doing out in the field on a recommended type shoe. Is that what I'm hearing?
Yes, that would be correct.
Okay. According to the OSHA standards, shoes are not the responsibility of the employer to pay for. All other personal protective equipment is. Now, some agencies choose to do shoe allowances or shoe allotments, but I would hope at a minimum, if you guys are out and about traipsing in the field, even the environmental specialist, that you're looking at a sturdy shoe when you're out there working. So for example, I would say a leather work boot with a good slip resistant sole. You're out there wet, grassy, that type of stuff. I would probably discourage shorts working out there because of bugs and critters and those types of things. So Jeff, that may be something that you guys need to look into, or maybe even if there's funding available for, footwear or guidance document on that. Lots of slips, trips, and falls we've seen are related possibly or potentially to types of shoes people wear. I know that for the clinical side of the house, there is some guidance on shoes. So I would hope that you guys are opting to use, good sturdy shoes when you're out walking around. I don't think you necessarily need a safety shoe that requires a steel toe unless you have a crushing type injury where your foot can be crushed in some manner. But I would think at least a good sturdy work boot with a good slip resistant sole, or that has like the knobs on the bottom, is what I would hope you guys would be using. What about when you're out and about? Are you issued any high visibility vest or blaze orange if you're having to traipse around in the woods during hunting seasons?
Yes, this is again Office of Drinking Water and Culpeper. We do have the high visibility vest for our folks that go in the field.
Well, that's good. I'm a little bit concerned about that. I've been, not necessarily through your agency, but through some other agencies where they don't necessarily see that as an issue. But, hunting season opens up and closes, and unfortunately, when you're walking on individuals' properties, if it's large enough, leaves rustle, people shoot. So we want to make sure that you're wearing some type of high visibility vest or clothing to identify who you are, or that you're out there doing some work. If you use any type of specific pieces of equipment, if an owner's manual comes with it, you need to read it and be familiar with it. You also want to make sure that you're looking at the equipment that you're using on a day-to-day basis and that it's in good shape, that it's operating properly and it's working properly. And then also make sure that people are trained on it. And even if you've been doing the job for, years and years, sometimes we get into bad habits. We all take those little shortcuts because there's all kinds of little shortcuts that you can take. Go back over at least every so often, unless it's one of your competencies that you may have to test out on, and make sure that you're doing the procedures right, that you're familiar with the equipment. We kind of get complacent when we start talking about that. Also think about, when we're talking about equipment and clothing's time of the year. We're going to talk about heat and cold stress later, but make sure that you dress for the weather for that day when you're out and about. And remember, especially during colder weather, you need to layer so that if you start to get warm, you can take layers off.